What's up, everybody? Welcome to ign-game-scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. I'm joined today by Justin Davis,
Scoop,
Mitch Dyer,
Scoop,
Colin Moriarty.
Beyond. You broke it.
This is GameScoop episode 299.9. Almost.
Math.
Almost at 300. Last week at PAX East, Mitch, you were there.
I was there.
We did episode 299.5.
Okay. This is 0.4 more episodes.
Yes. Getting closer to episode
like
3.
IGN's review scale.
Yep. Episode 300. It's going to be next week. I'm going to tell you all about it. We just need a little bit more time to prepare it. But hopefully you'll be joining us live. We're going to be live streaming GameScoop 300 next week, next Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned. We've got special prizes to give away. We're going to be answering all your questions live, and we're going to be playing an awesome new game. It's going to be fun.
I didn't know any of this. I'm excited.
You just learned along with everybody else.
Yeah.
How did PAX go? How did the PAX GameScoop go?
I think it went really well.
I thought it was awesome.
We put up the video of it yesterday, so that's up now, and everyone seemed to be really
You can watch it now and see two IGN editors kiss.
It's true. It's pretty hot stuff. I looked at the photo. It looks like Greg was giving Marty the tongue, but he says no. He says no,
but
I think he just,
know the score. With
Marty, there's just a lot of beard that you have to get through. You have to really go in for it. Anyway, GameScoop 300 next Friday, April 25th, live, 11 a.m. Pacific.
Hey, that's my birthday.
There you go.
That's why we did it.
Aw,
that's why we planned.
So sweet.
That's why we pushed it back over.
We planned it 300 weeks ago.
Man. You guys are so considerate. You're good friends.
Also, what are we doing for your birthday? Are we doing something?
Figure it out.
Yeah, you should do something. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about a possible Resogun update that's coming. We're going to be talking about the games we're gaming. But first, lead story this week. Over 7 million PlayStation 4s have now been sold.
That's a lot.
Console gaming is dead, Damon.
TVs are going away. It's all about Oculuses on your faces forever.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot.
It's a lot. It's the most.
I mean, is it 5 months now? 6 months? How long has it been out?
It's 5.5 months about. It's the fastest selling console still in history.
Yeah.
And outpacing the Wii's historic sales by about 1.5 million units.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, doing very, very well. And this is sold to consumers, too. This is not shipped.
7 million in homes.
Yep. So doing very, very well. Not so well in Japan. Pretty well everywhere else.
What do you know when you say not so well? Like
about 500,000 sold in Japan so far, which is I think
it's been 2 months.
They sold 7,000 last week, which is bad. There are no games.
Okay.
Yakuza Ishin was probably the biggest game on the console, but it's also on PS3. Natural Doctrine was supposed to be a pretty big game, but that's on Vita and PS3.
Ground Zero is also on everything.
So like, there's just no reason to buy one yet. Once they have that big reason to buy one, which I don't know what that's going to be.
Tweak it in 6.
Yeah, maybe be like.
That would be awesome. Don't even. Now you say my heart hurt.
Welcome to every day of my life.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I know
those games are so good.
So good.
The last update we got on sales was like 5 million, and that was last month.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Is because I know we got the 5 million update.
It was when it launched in Japan, right?
Yeah.
So February 22nd.
Yeah.
And so that's what jumps out to me. Like the 7 million is an awesome number, but what's even crazier about it is that it's not like slowing down. Like the acceleration or that pace is sort of continuing. Like
today is MPD Day. We will find out how much of an effect Infamous had on that.
Yeah, and we keep hearing from people that it's still hard to find in some places. People can't even find a PS4.
Yeah, there's still scarcity, and I don't think we've talked about this before on the show, but I don't think it's manufactured scarcity. I think they actually can't make enough of them. They also had to take some off the supply chain to bring them to Japan. And they're also in many countries that, like more actually than Xbox One. So it's probably difficult for them to keep the supply chain fresh. But I think the biggest thing about this is not how many they've sold, which is historic, and not that they beat their own estimate by about 25%, which is huge for a company like Sony that is struggling. But that they're doing this with no games. Infamous was the first substantial first party AAA game.
And now, what's the next one, right?
Drive Club, The Order, that's basically it. Drive Club, who the hell even knows what's going on with that game.
Yeah.
The Order is supposed to come out this fall. We'll see about that. There's scant third-party offerings, but I think what this really says is people like the device, they like the system, they're excited about its future, and I hope it indicates that people are opening up more to the indie ecosystem and the smaller games that are on the system as well.
Yeah, I mean, when we say there are no games, we just mean no big AAA games. Yeah. But there's been
quantity-wise, there are a lot of games.
There's been a steady stream of good stuff to play.
I say this every day. We talk about the PS4 and indie stuff, but I'm not kidding when I say literally every day, Sony is announcing a new indie for PS4, PS3,
right,
and Vita.
Well, it's like that gap between, it used to be, there was Xbox Live Arcade and PSN, but generally if you wanted smaller indie stuff, like PC was the platform you had to be on, but that's not the case anymore. Like Mercenary Kings, a lot of stuff is hitting, a lot of smaller games are hitting Steam and consoles day and date. So if you're not a PC gamer, if that's not your thing, console is now totally a viable option for games like that in a way they didn't used to be.
Over 20.5 million games have been sold.
Yes.
So that should give you an attach rate of about 3 games.
Yep,
right?
2.9.
That's really healthy too.
Yeah.
Super healthy. A lot of people on Twitter were asking me when I tweeted that yesterday. This includes PlayStation Plus games. There's no indication in the verbiage that Sony released that does include PlayStation Plus games. So this appears to be retail and digital purchase games. So pretty good. It's up from 2.3 in January. So more consoles are out there, which is saturating the PlayStation 4 market, but also more people are buying games, which is good. And that's a very healthy attach rate for a console that is 6 months old.
Right. I mean, what strikes me about this 7 million figure is that Sony hasn't really needed to do anything to sell those consoles. I mean, they haven't. This console war, or I don't like to use the phrase console war, the competition between these consoles is very, very young. The Wii outsold everything for years and then ended up falling behind years later. So who knows what's going to happen years down the road, but this bodes so well for Sony because if sales did slow down, if interest did lag, they can bundle a game in, they can drop the price, like they have all kinds of options. I would totally expect to see some sort of healthy bundle for some AAA game in the fall or whenever everybody that is interested in one of these PS4s buys one.
The last update we got on Xbox One was in January, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was short. I thought it was around the same time as the PS4 saying the PS4 update saying they sold 5.
Yeah, it was 3.9 million.
Yeah, it was like just
shipped.
about 4. Wow, really?
Shipped,
Yeah.
Man,
So-
yeah.
That was, I think that was in January though. That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
They're
So I'm just
probably...
They might hit 4.5, 5 with Titanfall.
Yeah, I was going to say, you would think that if Titanfall, like I bought that bundle, I know lots of other people did, you would think that if that did, sort of move a lot of units, they would want to crow about it, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, today will be the day.
Yeah,
Today
I
will
mean,
be the day.
indications are that PS4 actually outsold Xbox One last month, which is unbelievable.
Why do you say unbelievable?
Because Titanfall came out last month, and
Titanfall's the game.
that Infamous came out too, but
doesn't
Infamous
carry
is
the
not
same weight.
Titanfall. No,
Yeah.
and if that carries out, we'll see MPDs probably want to get out of here.
Yeah.
That is really shocking to me because I thought that Microsoft had it in the bag to the tune of 150,000 units or more. Like Xbox One is not scarce. There's plenty of them to buy. If you're interested in buying them, you will buy it. So that was not what I expected to happen. And if that's the case, then PS4 is going to be fine because the biggest game of the year for Microsoft didn't allow it to outsell PS4, which is shocking to me.
sure. The first half of the year at least.
Yeah.
We'll see if it has a tail. See if Titanfall can carry it through, I don't know, the summer.
I think it probably will. It's a good game.
Yeah.
People really enjoy it. I'm sure it outsold Infamous.
Really anxious to see the numbers on. Well, you don't, how Titanfall and Infamous did.
I like that those bundles, the Titanfall bundle is like it comes in this Titanfall box, right? But it's not an actual Titanfall box. It's a thing that they slipped over an existing Xbox One box. So, I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but it did give me a little bit of a chuckle where, like, they didn't even have to manufacture, like, new stuff, right? And, like, you don't get a physical copy of the game, obviously. You just get a code, a digital copy for one.
And just quick for context, just so, for our Nintendo listeners out there, I was looking into some of the Wii U numbers. That Nintendo's not very vocal about that. The predictions are between 5.5 and 6 million shipped. So PS4 has already outsold the Wii U.
3DS is still pacing better than Wii U at this point.
Yeah, 3DS is doing
years
fine.
after
3DS
fact.
is doing really
3DS was
3DS
the
is doing
best-selling piece of game hardware in 2013.
trending. I was actually looking at Japanese sales. It was a weird week, a good week for Sony because I was looking at Japanese media create sales for last week in Japan. Vita outsold 3DS, which I have never in my life seen.
Wow. Was there a game that came out? What would be?
There's a
driving
few
that?
games, Super Robot Tyson or whatever.
Oh, nice. Those games are awesome.
I've never played them.
They're great.
So Vita's like struggling. Vita's never going to be like a big thing, but like it was interesting to see that everything's kind of trending up for them right now. Vita's actually doing really well in Japan, not anywhere else. But yeah, so good week for PlayStation amongst bad financial times for Sony.
Well, there's also a big PlayStation 4 update coming. Isn't that right?
Yes, update 1.7, I think it is. Yeah, this will bring some video editing.
That's really that's
abilities.
awesome.
It is awesome.
It's cool. You can record in different ways now to get longer videos and cut them up and put segues into them, music, all those kinds of things. Upload them to Facebook, put them on a USB drive, and put them on YouTube.
So it's called Share Factory, right? This new video editing feature, and it sounds like it'll put it on par with Xbox One.
Yeah, and that's cool. I think the bigger deal for a lot of people is going to be preloading. which was promised for a long time, and we have not had it yet on PS4. So if you say pre-order the order and it comes out in September or October or whatever, you can pre-order it, and then a few days before, the system will download it automatically, and at like 12:01, you can just start playing it instead of having to download it.
Yeah. Becoming more and more PC-like in a good way. You know, the ability to preload digital games. You know, features like that are great. The sharing features are great. They have to get native YouTube uploading.
Well, so now you're previously you could only upload it to Facebook.
Right.
Now you're going to be able to put it on an external hard drive. Is that right?
I think you could still load your videos onto a USB stick before, I thought.
Is that true?
No,
I never tried to do it.
I think that I'd never do it because I'm just not that technical and I don't do that kind of stuff. But as far as I understand it, you can now put in like external USB drives and put the videos onto it, which
and
I
then
don't think
go
was
to
allowed.
YouTube from there.
That's something Xbox One still doesn't have, is external support.
It's weird that they have these.
Yeah.
They're covering different bases.
Yeah.
There's weird stuff missing from these next-gen consoles still, and I know they'll get there. Like, I'm not worried about it, but like I had a video on a USB stick that I wanted to watch, and I had to put it into my 360 because the PS4 just can't do it. Can't play video from a USB stick. Like,
oh man.
Yeah. I like how fast Sony is iterating or addressing these issues. Like, I was disappointed that the PS4 didn't have the same video editing capabilities that the Xbox One has. Well, but now that's not an issue. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, that level of competition, or I mean, that's just a perfect illustration of why competition is healthy, and they feel a little bit of heat from each other because, you know, the PS4 comes out with these sharing features, and the Xbox is behind. But when the Xbox does drop their features, they're better, they're more polished. People like them more than Sony's. But now Sony's playing catch up, you know, so it's better for all of us, right?
Yeah, for sure. No indication of when this update hits, Colin?
Apparently end of the month, but they haven't put a date on it yet.
I expect like the
looks
last
awesome.
Tuesday or something.
Yeah, this is the Share Factory new features that we're
this looks
seeing
really
here.
cool.
I know, it looks great.
I'm a share from the factory. Share factory.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, game's gorgeous.
Out this week, I think this week on PlayStation 4 is Pure Chess. Is that right?
Pure
Colin?
Chess, yeah, that did come out this week.
You reviewed this game.
I did.
Chess is a 10 out of 10 game.
Chess is an
De
11 out of
facto.
10 game. It's the best game ever.
Beautiful.
It's actually a really pretty game. It was on Vita and PS3. It's also on PC and Wii U and a bunch like tablet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came to PS4. Gave it a 6.0 just because of its asynchronous online play. It's correspondence chess style play, which I just loathe correspondence chess, and it's just not.
Now, for the layman, that just means you're not live playing. Like,
Right.
You take a turn, and then someone else can take their turn whenever they want.
Right, like people used to back in the day, and still do sometimes play correspondence chess, which is basically notation chess. Like you'll have your own board in your own house, whatever.
On to
You'll write the
D3,
notation down
yeah.
exactly. Then you mail it. This is the way people in prison play, and like a lot, like different kinds of when they can't sit across from a table. I hate that kind of chess. I would rather play a game of Blitz or Bullet or just a standard game across, like I used to in Washington Square Park when I was a kid, and I wrote about that in the review. Without true multiplayer, chess is not chess, no matter how much you like to study the game. And I'm a huge chess fan, and I have been for most of my life.
So is there no live multiplayer in this?
Nope.
No, it's crazy, right?
That's not pure
It's
chess!
insane.
Your title's a lie!
So
False advertising.
it's cool if you want to play. The computer's pretty challenging to play against. Lots of different difficulties, tournament play and stuff like that. But like, it's just without that essence. Like that essence is playing with someone.
It's an absolutely bizarre exclusion. I mean, and it makes sense. When I did the mobile game stuff at IGN, I really, really liked asynchronous games. I had a whole folder where it was like Carcassonne and
Ticket
Words
to
of
Ride.
Friends and Ticket to Ride, and I had a whole folder, and I let my turns build up, and then on the train home, I would do my turns with all my friends each day or whatever, every couple days, as frequently as I could. And on a mobile platform where you're like popping in and popping out, like that makes a ton of sense. But like that makes no sense for a console game.
Yeah, like
You want to sit down and play a game of chess against somebody, and you can't do it.
it seems like that should be a feature or like an option. But why can't you just play like a live game against somebody? That seems
It's bizarre. I mean,
oversight.
I used to use this thing called Internet Chess Club, ICC, which is like a paid program you play on PC. I used it in the late 90s, early 2000s. Then again, when I moved out here to San Francisco, and I let my thing elapse. But that is like the premier place to play chess with people online. And it seems like if they could do that, and it was running on my Pentium 1 back in the day, over a 56K modem, that certainly they can figure it out on PS4 and get a live game going. Just like I like the asynchronous as an option if you want to play correspondence chess. It's that's not the way my mind works when I play chess, and I play chess seriously. And I know a lot of people, are a similar way. You don't even remember what you were doing. You have a strategy built in your head. You can't write that in notation. Like so. It was a weird game.
Yeah, I mean, my gut was that it was just cost saving, right? Or that was my initial reaction, was they just trying to save some money on the servers, but you still have to have all that, sending those internet packets back and forth to do it asynchronously. So
Sure.
I don't understand it.
Well, Pure Chess may not be the Pure Chess experience.
No.
But the Pure Resogun experience is available
Oh, man.
on PlayStation 4.
Still the best game on PS4. People
That
get so mad at me
segue.
when I say that. It is still the best game on the console.
Yeah, I don't know that is untrue, but apparently there's a big update coming.
Yes.
You've been following this, Colin?
I have. I don't know what it is. I don't think that they've said what it is. All they've said is that they promise that it'll make Resogun even better.
Well, so Housemarque, the developer, tweeted, they tweeted this message. Imagine Resogun, right?
Got it.
Now,
Done.
Now imagine it so much better that you almost forget how good the original was.
Man,
That is coming.
could someone remind me how good Resogun was? I
So
forgot.
good, man.
And then they
so
posted a
good.
photo of two of the developers on a couch together, both holding controllers. So it seems like there's some sort of like
Co-op or something.
co-op
Yeah.
mode that's coming. Local
Yeah.
2-player co-op mode in Resogun.
I hope it's more than that, but
That'd be the
and
most
I hope-
disappointing of it.
like-
And now it's 2 players. Oh, thanks, guys.
I mean, that game is just so, on a gameplay
Yeah,
level,
it's
it's
great.
just so good. And I keep saying this to people, and some people roll their eyes, but Housemarque is the best developer that no one talks about.
Stardust is incredible.
And they only make good games. Actually, they only make great games.
Hmm.
You'd have to go way back to the 90s to find a game that they made natively that wasn't great. You know?
I like Dead Nation a lot too.
Yeah, Dead Nation's awesome. Outland's good.
Oh, yeah,
Super
forgot about
Stardust.
Yeah.
And obviously Resogun. I mean, they just make good games. They know what they're doing.
Anyway, apparently there's a big update for Resogun coming. As soon as we know more about that, we'll share it with you here. Now's the time on GameScoop when we talk about the games we're gaming. Now that Hearthstone is on iPad, that's pretty much, I think that's just the only game I'm going to play for the rest of my life.
Just shut it down. We're never going to see Damon again.
So
no more
good.
DJ shows. You don't have
so-
time. It's cutting into your Hearthstone.
I know, yeah. I was at my desk playing it today. I was winning a bunch of rounds. I won the defeat 5 people as a Warlock quest. It was good.
So I'm playing the iPad version for work right now to update my review, but then I saw Damon Hatfield has signed on. I'm like, what do you don't have an excuse. Oh,
man.
I had to talk about it on GameScoop.
Oh, sure.
We've all got to become BattleNet bros now.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
This game's so good. I keep saying it. If someone doesn't like a game, they download it, they try it, they don't like it, fine. But like, if you won't even try it, that's when I get so frustrated. People are like, nah, it's a card game, and I'm not into that. And I'm like, it's free. Just download it and try it.
It's a free, very good, very smart card game.
Like it's got
so
this
good.
incredible sort of tutorial that eases you in. Like it's
I'm playing that part of it now, and
Yeah.
it's
The tutorial's so fun.
It's really intelligent.
Yeah, it's like super fun, and like just go through that. Go through those tutorial matches and see how you feel. And if you don't like it, delete it, and then you'll have Justin off your back. It's so good, and there's new stuff coming this summer.
Yeah, there's a single-player
expansion.
campaign coming.
Yep.
That'd be really good. You had some theories about that. You thought there were some worries you thought might be expensive.
Oh well, that's just the fear. Like we have all these details. All the details sound great, but what we don't know is price.
Yeah.
And like I hope that it's not too much money. That's all.
Sure, that's valid.
Is there any in-game currency where it's like you've earned
Yeah.
1,000 gold that you can now spend on the campaign?
Yeah, they're actually pretty generous with it. If
Okay.
you you get a daily quest each day where it's like win 5 games as a warlock or whatever. And those,
Dang.
if you do those daily quests, you'll get a free pack of cards about every other day.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Good. What do you think, Colin? Would you try Hearthstone?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I like customizable card games a lot. I mean, when I was a young man in the 90s,
Low those years ago.
I used to play. I was into Magic back in the day a little bit, but then I liked Star Wars customizable card game a lot. I really, really liked that game. I thought it was really fun and really deep. But then it became too expensive, and I had to move on to other things and stuff like that. And I like the idea of these card games, as they have been for several years, segueing to the digital space. So I think, like many card games, I was really confused when we were talking about Magic 2015. And I mess with that a little bit. I'm not good enough to play those games online. But I was confused that they're not on PlayStation platforms at all. And I was looking this year, and I was looking into that, and I don't quite understand why. But I feel like those games would be perfect on Vita. So I had to break my iPad out. I download games on it every once in a while. I'm not super fond of playing games on it, but this game and a couple others that people have been telling me about recently in the
Let that threes, Kyle.
yeah, people have been talking about like a lot of these games, right? That I just because I'm so obsessed with just playing Vita when I lay in bed at night in my underwear.
Yeah.
That I have to kind of give some of these iPad games more of a shake.
I meant to tell you, I met with the Magic guys at PAX last week, and I asked them why Magic 2015 isn't coming to PlayStation platforms, and they gave me a very corporate prepared response.
We're very excited about the future of Magic. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We're focusing on the announced platforms for right now. We don't have anything else to announce.
It's clear that it's probably not coming.
Don't even talk to me if you're not going to talk
Yeah,
like
if you're not
a
gonna talk to a
person.
human being.
Yeah,
it's a little frustrating. I only looked into that. People were like, why are you looking into this? Why are you curious about this story? Because I noticed a really unique amount of anger in the comments from people when they were like, where is the PlayStation version? And I don't care. I'm not going to play the game. It doesn't bother me. But like, people were like, I invested 3 years of this on PS3, and I bought all your card packs, and I spent $50 on this, and now you're just going to abandon my platform. And I think that's a reasonable kind of anger people have about
sure.
it. Yeah.
It's a very strange omission.
Yeah.
What was my brain's not working. There was a game today that's not announced for Xbox One.
Oh, Spider-Man 2.
No,
Yeah.
it was announced.
It is announced.
It's apparently canceled. Like one version.
It's like there was the rumor came out that it was canceled, so we all reached out to Activision, who said like, very excited about Spider-Man. It's coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3. We list everything except Xbox One. And we're like, okay.
What about 360?
And,
Yeah, it's coming to 360.
It's coming to
But not
everything.
Xbox One.
Just that
And
one
Wii U,
platform.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
You think that would be the one
wild.
they would cancel if
So
they
it's-
had
I don't know,
sales
like,
problems?
Maybe it's a cert problem, like part of the game is broken, they just can't fix it, they gotta delay it, I don't know.
I don't know. It's really strange. Also playing Trials Fusion,
Yeah.
which is out this week.
Yes.
Me too.
You guys are playing that.
Downloaded
It's
it last night.
Really fun. I love the Trials games. So
Game's too hardcore for me, man.
too hardcore.
And in the sense that like I feel like I'm playing Excite Bike, but it's 50 times harder. Like,
yeah.
and like I just
I'm
I
super down with that.
I played it. It's just I'm not into racing games really. I really like what the game's doing. I played it a little bit with Vince because he was reviewing it. and He needed some
Yeah.
help with local multiplayer. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I just don't have the steady thumb for this game. You know,
I don't think it gets frustrating until like the later stages.
Yeah.
Like at least like you could play it through the first half of it, and I think it's all just breezy and fun.
That's the weird thing about Trials games is the end of the game is generally less fun than the first half.
Sure.
Which is, the
gets
courses
really
become
difficult.
really, really technical,
Yeah.
and then they become more like platformy and like, you need to bunny hop your way over
Yeah, it's
things.
less about racing and more about technically understanding, like, I know how to control this bike in like a granular level.
It's funny that Colin mentions a steady thumb because I'd never made the connection until just now that this reminds me of like a 2D Super Monkey Ball.
Sure.
Well, like in that way of like you need to like you have to feather the
It's all
throttle.
balanced.
You have to like it makes me think of that sort of same. It puts me in the same headspace. Like they're very very different games, but like it's super pure control wise. You're really just doing these accelerate, lean.
Yep.
That's all you're doing. There's no buttons. They had tricks in this one, but
They're kind of superfluous.
yeah, that's my big thing about Trials Fusion is I love the Trials game so much that I'm happy to give them $20 and play it. But the stuff that they did add, like I don't really care about the trick system. For me, it's just more Trials. Like
Yeah.
the stuff
Yeah.
that the sequel adds, I
would agree
can
with
take
that.
or leave.
We were talking about some technical issues. I'm playing on Xbox 360, and I don't know if it was just optimized for current gen platforms, but it's like stuttery. Like when you in each course you pass checkpoints, and sometimes at a checkpoint it'll like freeze for a second.
Oh,
so it
man.
totally like
No,
flows.
can't
It
have
messes
that.
up your flow. Yeah, it's
not a game like that.
It doesn't do that on the PS4. That's what I'm playing it on. But if you restart, which you do a lot, there'll be textures popping in.
Yeah, same on Xbox One.
And I don't understand, they know their game. They know this is a game where, you go, oops, restart. And every single time, this car has to pop in every single time, and it's jarring.
Where the
and
ground
weird.
looks like it's one color, and then, oh yeah, right, detail pops in.
yeah.
We also, the voice clips will
Oh yeah,
repeat.
you're saying you rehear the.
And so,
voice clips.
Fusion's set in the future. I didn't know anything about this game. I'm I know I'm going to buy it, so I don't need to read the previews. So maybe this is old news to everybody, but it's set in, this future, sort of this post-apocalyptic future. Mm-hmm. And this voice, this sort of Portal-esque voice, says things to you sometimes. But every time you
Is she
restart...
flirting with you? And stuff?
Yeah, she
I get
flirts
that.
with you.
It's kind of weird. Right?
She's like, let's go hit the showers.
Yeah, right.
And she's like, no, you go hit the showers. I'll
Think I have
stay
a
here.
chance? I don't know.
But these voice clips will repeat every single time you restart. You miss a jump, restart. Same clip, same clip, same clip. So there's some weirdness in it, but it's still the same trial.
It's still totally fun. Yeah, for sure. Finally, for the flight to PAX, I downloaded Retro City Rampage on my 3DS, but I couldn't really get into it.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that game very much either.
It seems
some people
like
really swear by
it'd
that
be-
game.
I know, and it got great reviews, and it seems like it'd be up my alley, but it was just maybe a little too precious with all the references to everything. It's just
That was my
it
thing,
just
too.
never stops. And
Yeah,
it's kind of
there's no moment for you to digest the comedy or appreciate the nostalgia before it's just and then another joke.
I love the look of it.
Yeah,
but I
and
just-
it is fun. There's
yeah.
a lot of the driving around cars and smashing into stuff and blowing stuff up. All of that is really good. It's a GTA Saints Row-y kind of game, top down, old school style, big style, but not a whole lot of substance for me.
I agree. Justin, what are you playing?
Elder Scrolls Online, mostly. Still playing some Diablo, but I've moved over to ESO. I wasn't even going to get it. I was going to wait and get the console version, but then I got it for work, and now I can't stop.
So you're into it?
Yeah, super into it. It's a strange game because I recognize that it's flawed. Like, I love it for me. I go home and play it every night, but I would have a hard time recommending it to other people necessarily because it is super slow-paced. There are bugs. There are issues with it. But it's all stuff like it's the right game for me at this moment. Like I log on at night, do some quests, talk to some Argonians, save a couple villages, and then I log off, and it's perfect. And I like it slow pace.
Are there a lot of people playing?
Not as many. This is all anecdotal because who knows how many servers they have and whatnot. But the world does seem emptier than like a game like Final Fantasy XIV, for example. It's really, for me, I don't play a lot of MMOs, but FF14 and Elder Scrolls Online are like polar opposites, where FF14 is a sprint. Everyone's running around as fast as they can. They have these world events pop up, and people sprint there and do them, and they're happening every 3 minutes. Whereas ESO is very slow, and like each quest is usually like 8 stages, and like to save this village, you'll need to collect the stuff, then go do this, and then go do that, and it's all voice acted. So you can sit and read the lore books, and like it's much more of like I'm willing, and I play in first person, which people howl at me about in these Let's Plays we're doing. Because I don't have like the situational awareness that I would if I was playing in third person, but it lets me just be enveloped in that world. Like I just escape into Tamriel for a little bit each evening. I think it's great.
That's how I played Skyrim in first person.
Yeah, for sure.
Your shield up there. Mitch, what are you gaming?
I've fallen back into a Dota hole where all I'm doing is just playing new heroes in Dota as often as possible and failing miserably at them. And, learning my lessons and going back to playing the 2 or 3 characters that I do now. But to try and get away from just playing Dota, I played on playing the PAX. I played through Monument Valley on iPad.
I need to play that. I hear great things about
that. That game is awesome. It's really simple. It's complicated in like the sense that it's about perspective in the same way that Fez is. Like it's an Escher-style painting where you're moving this character around and telling her to go here, and then you drag that platform to a different place that you didn't think you could get to, but it looks like you can. So
you can like rotate the. It's like a puzzle game version of Fez.
Where like you have a character here, and now you spin the world a little bit. And now the platform connects to somewhere else, and you rotate back, and you're on the other side of the map. It does really interesting stuff like that. But it seems complicated, but it's actually really simple. It's a little easy. Like I think people who are looking for a challenge will be kind of disappointed because it's more about just getting through it and seeing it and having that quick moment of like, eureka, I did it. That's how I get here. Cool.
It's also like $3, which is great.
Or
$5 or whatever.
It is gorgeous. The music is excellent. It's got like a weird story that I'm kind of into. Marty Slebo was not a super big fan of the story, but it's got like religious undertones that are subtle, and you play this princess who maybe isn't exactly the kind of good girl that you think she is, and it's got a couple really good character moments.
Cool.
Monument Valley is really good.
I'll just check it out. Colin, what you been playing?
Last weekend I platinumed South Park, Stick of Truth, platinum number 43. And
not that he's keeping track.
No. And that game is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Easily the best game of the year so far, in my opinion. And definitely game of the year material as far as I'm concerned. I think that game is absolutely brilliant. And I'm not even really into South Park.
I agreed with you up until the point where I straight up can't proceed. Because it broke.
Oh, it broke for you? Oh, it didn't break for me. I'm sorry.
Every time people talk about how good it is, I'm like, I would love to keep playing, and I can't.
There's a moment where you go to your home country in the game.
I know. I'm excited.
And it's just unbelievable. Like I was just like, this is even cooler than the game already was. So I highly recommend that game. But I've been playing a lot of Mercenary Kings on PS4. That game is great. It's frustrating at times, but definitely if you're an old school gamer like I know you are and I am.
Which game is this?
Mercenary Kings. Just really, really fun. Really, really hard. And still working my way through that. I'm supposed to review it. I really want to beat it first, but it's taking forever for me to get through the game. So that's a lot of fun. And then I've been playing Rainbow Moon on Vita, which is a...
How are you still playing this game?
Which is an old JRPG.
It's 240 hours long.
Yeah, it's a really long game.
It's like talking to like Disgaea addicts. I'm still playing, man.
Yeah,
it's been 6 years. I'm still playing Disgaea too.
So I've been messing around with that game.
Because you gotta go into your belt and upgrade it.
Yep.
Because I platinumed Velocity Ultra a few weeks ago on Vita, and I was really playing that game a lot on Vita, and I didn't even really know what to do next because that was like all I was doing was playing that friggin' game, which is an excellent game. So I went back to Rainbow Moon because I want to get the platinum in that too.
Don't they have a new game coming out?
Yeah, Rainbow Skies, PS3 and Vita later this year. Very talented studio, SideQuest Studios, the guys that did Soldner X, which I know you like that game, and I really like that game too. So yeah, that's why
just bring the Soldier games to PS4. I'd play those.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man! Those were underrated games, really fun games, and I'm just kind of lying in wait for Borderlands 2, which I think we're gonna get on Vita soon. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Borderlands coming soon. You know what I'd love a version on PS4 is, remember the PSN game Horde?
Yes, I love Horde.
Gosh, that game is so fun.
What a weird reference to pull out of your hat.
Well, we were just talking about PSN games.
It came up at PAX, didn't it?
Yeah,
it's like those guys are making another.
Yeah, he's making another new game that sounds cool.
I can't remember what it is.
Is that the one that Marty? He was impressed with the elevator pitch. Is that the one?
Oh, Darkest Dungeons.
Oh yeah, Darkest Dungeon. It looks fantastic.
I think that's the Horde guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it is them. That's right. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Darkest Dungeon looks awesome.
Yeah. Huge Kickstarter success. Incredibly innovative idea for an RPG. Everybody should keep their eye on that game.
Horde, man. Good reference.
Horde is so
I really did love that game. It's very good.
All right, let's check in with the listeners.
Hey,
Hello,
listeners.
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like James Glass did. James is worried. He's worried that next-gen graphics might be too realistic.
It's all too real. I can't take it. It's too real.
He says, I had an epiphany after finishing Infamous Second Son.
Epiphany.
While I can't deny the game is beautiful, there isn't anything about its graphics that really impressed me.
Really? Interesting.
Between this game, The Order 1886, Watch Dogs, Destiny, Battlefield 4, Witcher 3, Dragon Age, Deep Down, The Division, most AAA games are starting to look the same. Last gen, Gears of War actually had a unique style, even though it was all gritty. But these days, it seems like Nintendo and indies are the only ones really experimenting artistically. Am I the only one bothered by this?
I don't think you need to have an exaggerated or sensationalized art style to be interesting. Like, The Division looks incredible to me because it's a hyper-realistic thing, but it's all about character designs and the aesthetic of the world. Like, you have this New York City that's dim and dark and has all this detail of, like, just rubbish everywhere, and things are just overgrown, and that kind of stuff looks really interesting to me, even though it is vividly realistic.
Yeah, and I don't think I agree that Infamous and Witcher 3 and Dragon Age Inquisition all look similar.
No, not at all. I don't agree with that either. The only thing that sticks out to me is, isn't it James Glass, that's his name?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the fictional boyfriend of Jan Brady?
Is it James Glass?
It was right.
I remember it's something Glass.
Yeah,
wow,
okay.
you're right.
Just a little Brady Bunch reference for you, that's all.
Say hi to Jan for us.
I don't think I agree either, but James does have a point in that, if you're making a game set in the real world, you were talking about this, if we were making a very, military shooter, for example, the more realistic you make them, by definition, aren't they going to start looking more like...
I think there is something to be said for that. Maybe with first-person shooters, like Call of Duty and Battlefield. Sure, maybe.
They have less room for, individualization and personalization. I think that's an opportunity for really art design to shine through. If you have... graphics technically are reaching this plateau where, humans look like humans, trees look like trees... the way that you can differentiate yourself is in the actual art design of your world and, your space. Like, Seattle's set in Seattle, but come on. They take liberties with it and do things to make it look gorgeous and interesting in a way that, a real city might be a little bit more mundane.
Yeah, I mean, Infamous, especially with Seattle, a venue we all know and love in Seattle is the Crocodile. Looks completely different in Infamous.
It's not nearly as big as it is in the game.
Sensational, it's right there. This is not the Crocodile, but we love it.
Beautiful design.
So I do think that is an opportunity, in a game like The Witcher or whatever, like you said, character designs where, this is a person, but it's almost more like a movie, where, if a movie is obviously set in, the real world, or many movies
look
are.
too real, man.
But,
I can't take it.
With their sets and costumes and lighting and angles, you can still set a mood and, make two movies that are even shot in the same building, in the same space, look completely differently. Yeah. And so video games are going to, start hopefully getting better at that sort of art design, now that they have...
If there are talented artistic designers, watching over the project, for sure.
Sounds like we respectfully disagree.
Or maybe we can just reassure him that maybe he doesn't need to be worried not so much. This is Andy. He's wondering about Oculus Rift and Project Morpheus. He says, I'm very excited about Oculus and Morpheus. I hope they'll be a success and will bring us the next evolution of gaming. I am, however, wary of the progression of technology and what impact this could have. As graphics become more and more lifelike, as you become more and more immersed in games, would all games still be enjoyable? A game like Outlast, for example, could be too realistic to the point where it could cause major stress. It would probably be too much for the majority of people. Is that something that many people would really want to experience? Would a game still be fun if you were in a super realistic shooter where you felt like you were actually on the beach and Saving Private Ryan with limbs flying everywhere and people being shot up a few inches from where you stand?
I mean, that's kind of what games are going for anyway, right? Like, the whole point of Outlast is to have, like, incredible levels of stress happening to you all the time. And I don't know if having an Oculus increase that would negatively affect it.
I mean, I think that's totally a valid point. Like, I already don't like spooky things, don't like scary games, don't like scary movies, and so
I don't want to be confined to it.
Right, so I already avoid them.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, I know this isn't something I'm into. So on the Oculus side, like, yeah, people will sort of decide or find for themselves like what intensity level is right for them. Like,
I think. So let's imagine a fully immersive experience where you're in a horror game.
Yeah.
I think, sure, some people would want to do that, for sure. People that like horror movies, some people don't, some people do, but there are definitely people that would want to experience that.
Yeah.
I kind of hope in our lifetime we'll get to experience real immersive VR. Sony was experimenting with that technology, like Matrix-style VR. We were actually in a world, you're not like holding a controller or anything, but it's like, and Sony was experimenting with that VR. It's like wireless technology that like sort of like beams the game into your brain and like makes your brain think that you're in the game.
Nope.
I love it. It's crazy.
Nope.
I mean, I just love how crazy and sci-fi
Get out of
it
my
is.
head.
I think
like if I were presented with that opportunity, someone said, "Do you want to be fully immersed in a Matrix-like world?" Yes, I would totally do
Which
that.
pill do you take?
Yeah.
there's totally a fair point that like an M-rated game today is not the same as an M-rated game on the Super Nintendo. Like I had a Mutant League game where like people would explode into pixels of, goop, and that's not the same as if you were to play an M-rated game now. It's the same rating. They're both for, 17 and over. And like if you add a layer of VR onto that, like hacking someone's arm off or something, like sure, I can totally see how that's going to cross a line for some people that maybe that line doesn't get crossed for them.
I just don't think Oculus would enhance it anyway. Like I will always be as uncomfortable chopping someone to pieces in Rise as I would be if I was playing that game with a Rift.
Sure, that's a fair point. I think if they, get some sort of motion control, bring back the PS Move or whatever, you have some headset on your hand, you're moving and it's right in your face with blood splattering. Like, if someone said, "Hey, that really bothers me, that's too much," I would say, "Yeah, I respect that."
Sure.
I get that.
Yeah. But I think there are going to be some people that are fine with it. Cool. I don't know. What do you think, Colin?
No, I've always been really skeptical of VR until, and the promise of VR until I played Oculus last year at E3, which was really one of the most mind-bending experiences of my life. Like, I played E-Valkyrie and was just completely enamored with it. I actually asked to play it again, and I really never did. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Then I played Morpheus at GDC.
The B-roll's really funny.
And, that's Scott. And I played Morpheus at GDC, and it's the same thing. It's actually a more comfortable version of Oculus. And I played Eve again, but I also, which I love, but I also played a Sony London demo where you're put into one of those submersible tanks or one of those cages that and the sharks are swimming around and stuff. And I remember just going to myself like, like this is really crazy. Like I'm in this space. They would allow you to use PlayStation Move to like theoretically, so like you can put your hand out and like move it around and see it. You can look down and see your body. Sharks are like swimming around. You turn around, it's like behind you. No stutter in the frame rate or anything like that. I was like, this isn't the game I want to play, but this is the promise of getting those games. And frankly, as a history dude, I would love to storm Normandy in 1944 and see what that was all about. Like in a digital kind of way. I think it would be horrifying and scary, but man, so was Reading the Road. That was scary, and I think that's exciting. I agree. I don't think it's going to be for everybody.
Sure.
I think VR's problem is not that, though. I think VR's problem is cost and
and
it's one of those things like me. I'm a video game professional, I guess, in this industry, and I was totally skeptical of VR. It took me trying it to understand it, and that's going to be the same for everybody. So, how are you going to get this thing onto people's heads?
Right. Well, it's the difference between trying it and believing in it and actually being able to afford it and thinking this is definitely worth my money, and there are products related to it that I'm confident in. Like Sony's PlayStation 4, doing really well. We talked about that. You release Morpheus for $200-$300, and you have a few games that support it. Like, is that going to drive sales?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
a
huge inhibitor.
It seems like a boondoggle in a way, but I think
in
a way it's more like financially. I think it's more realistic than Oculus in the sense that, and I didn't think about this until I was talking to someone about it. In the sense that you need an expensive rig to use Oculus theoretically, right? Mm-hmm. And PS4 is $400, which is cheaper than most of these high-end computers. Plus, it has processing power of its own. So I don't know. I agree. I think there's like all these issues that have nothing to do with the immersive experience. I think the experience is the thing that's going to sell it, if anything does. But I'm most curious about how the market deals with it.
Sure.
It's just going to be having VR sex. That'll be the killer app.
That's
actually
yeah,
really
it
true.
always is.
That's actually
It's like once the porn industry...
100%.
We thought that would be the Kinect killer app. Still
Right.
waiting.
Once the porn industry got
Surely
behind
there are-
Blu-ray, HD DVD was dead. That was it.
Surely there are adult film companies that bought an Oculus Rift dev kit and are working on that, right?
Yeah.
For sure, man.
I guarantee you.
I think of the old episode of Married with Children where Bud
This is great.
gets
I love this conversation
like he's in virtual reality, and that's like what it's all about. With him with like all these chicks, and this was in like what 1991. So they had the right
coming
idea.
true.
Yeah. Married with Children predicted everything.
Dude. What a show!
No, yeah, the show is great.
Magnificent.
That show is
A
fantastic.
superb
So good.
program.
All right, one more email this week. This is from Hunter, which I think is my favorite class in Hearthstone.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, might be my least favorite.
Oh, you get your beasts out there. They
I'm not a
all,
big
they're,
fan.
all,
I don't like that beast synergy.
they're all boosting each other. Yeah,
Sure.
beast synergy. Hunter
Beast
says,
synergy.
Well,
Love that. I love that.
I play Call of Duty, Battlefield, and many other first-person shooters.
Me too.
I have recently seen a fall in the quality of most FPS games.
Hey, me too.
Do you guys believe that the reign of the first-person shooter is ending?
No.
No, definitely not.
In no way. No.
I
So you
kinda-
agreed with them, and you
Ending?
agreed with them.
Coming
but
to
then,
an end?
Yeah, the reign of it, like if it's going to be on top. Yeah, I think if I think about what people are announcing and what people are super hyped about, you have stuff like The Witcher, you have Skyrim was the best-selling game of
seriously.
last generation, or certainly up there.
Look at stuff like GTA.
Yeah, stuff like GTA or Assassin's Creed,
Creed.
open world action
Yeah.
games. I don't really feel people getting excited about straight FPS in the same way anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
for
if we're
sure.
talking about the reign coming to an end, to those points, like I'd say it already has. We
Yeah.
have other games that people are more interested in. But in terms of like shooters decreasing in popularity or going away, like I absolutely don't think that's the case. We're going to see a new Battlefield this year. We're going to see a new Call of Duty this year. We're going to see AAA companies investing more and more into FPSs.
They haven't even sorted out Battlefield 4 yet, though, have they? Like, are they going to announce the Battlefield 5 before Battlefield 4 is sorted out?
Oh, man, yes. I bet they do.
Wow.
I would bet a lot of money that Battlefield's at E3 before the last DLC is out, before the servers are totally fixed, before the bugs are totally ironed out.
The most popular upcoming games on IGN, so the most popular games with our audience right now are Destiny, The Order, 1886, Witcher 3, Super Smash Bros., Mario Kart 8, Watch Dogs, The Division, and Sunset Overdrive. So there's several first-person shooters
half and half.
in there. I guess Sunset Overdrive is a third-person game, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I only count one first-person shooter in there, right?
Yeah.
Isn't-
So Destiny,
Yeah, Destiny.
The Division is not first-person. I guess it's third.
Well, it's also
okay.
an RPG.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, yeah. So there is only one.
Yeah.
Well, but I half count Sunset Overdrive and I half count The Order.
I was counting them as shooters, but
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
it's
I
different.
mean, at the point you start separating them because of their perspective, it's
Yeah.
semantics at that point.
I think that the argument about if shooters, first-person shooters, they're not kind of ignore. Like we're in this kind of bubble where we hear a lot of shit talk about Call of Duty or Battlefield, but these games are massively popular and people really are excited about them. What I lament more is the untimely death of the more niche shooter.
For example.
Like I'm a huge
Like
well-known
Singularity?
Resistance fan. Like I love Resistance, and I think that like that was a really unique kind of cool story, real gritty, dark. I like that, but I love Singularity by Raven. Now Raven only does Call
of Duty
maps now, but
Yeah.
like we don't get those kinds of mid-tier shooters anymore that I think have the leverage to tell unique stories or have unique mechanics. Whether in Resistance it was all the unique weapons, or which was really a product of Ratchet and Clank,
Stuff
or
like Fear.
Yeah, Fear. I loved
Oh, man,
Fear. I loved
yeah.
Fear 2, and I loved Fear 3. Like I thought that game was a lot of fun. Because it's unique and it's different. Now I play Call of Duty's campaign every year. That's weird. I don't play the game online. I play the campaign. I like it. So I just like playing shooters. So yeah, are there more different kinds of games now? I suppose, but I don't think shooters are going anywhere. Let's remember that the best-selling, we were talking about PS4 sales, 7 million. The best-selling game on PS4 is a first-person shooter, Killzone. So it's not like
Well, the best first-person shooter selling on PS4 is probably Call of Duty.
No, not on PS4.
Really?
No, definitely not.
That surprises me.
Killzone's attach rate on PS4 is like 1 in 3.
That's
That's a product of
crazy.
the game being it's the same thing that happened with Fall Man with PS3, right? Like that game sold like crazy because it was just a shooter, a unique proprietary, exclusive shooter on the
Same
console.
with Perfect Dark Zero and Xbox 360.
Exactly. So yeah, Call of Duty. Apparently, I don't know the exact numbers, but apparently the next gen Call of Duty games have not sold like that well.
I mean, the install base just isn't
Yeah,
there
it's
yet.
always. Everyone bought it on 360. And
This fall, that will change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Shadowfall's at like almost 2.5 million units sold. So
Jeez.
people are buying these games. And there's other games to be played, Assassin's Creed or Knack if you have children or whatever you want to play. So I wouldn't put the tombstone or the chisel to the tombstone quite yet. But I hope that we see these more mid-tier shooters come back, because that's where the interesting stories are told.
You speak of mid-level shooters. You excited for Wolfenstein?
Yeah, I am. I actually requested that review because I am excited for Wolfenstein. Again, that's the Raven touchstone with Return to Castle Wolfenstein. And I like that series, and I think this game sounds and looks really cool.
Yeah.
I know some people are down on it, but I think it sounds awesome. I love playing shooters. I'll play almost every shooter that comes to console because I enjoy them. Also, was excited to hear Metro and Metro Last Light are coming to PS4 and Xbox One as a collection. I wasn't crazy about Last Light, but those are again unique shooters that we don't see very much of anymore.
Call of Juarez.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh yeah, Gunslinger. That
Gunslinger was good.
I
Which was
enjoyed
the
that. That was just
downloadable one that came.
Yeah,
that was the one. That was Gunslinger.
very arcadey.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe there's there's like this foundation of people that buy Call of Duty every year, and maybe will dip their toes into Battlefield or whatever, and then that's kind of just what they play, right? Like, they're not excited for Witcher or Skyrim or whatever. Like, they're just FPS dudes and ladies, and they buy those games every year, and they're kind of invisible in the sense that they're like the millions invisible that are just going to buy it every year, no matter what, until the quality dips it, whatever, they'll get sick of it at some point. But same people, like FIFA sells like 15 million copies every year. Like,
FIFA's also getting better every year.
Sure, yeah, but it's like that core group of people who are like, maybe they're not even reading about games, they're not super vocal, they just buy it.
Sure.
Yeah, we all know those people, right? Like, I know like my cousin.
Yeah.
My cousin Jan, who's on my PSN list, like he's on there all the time playing NHL, Madden, FIFA, Call of Duty.
Yep.
Every single time. I've never seen him play anything else. And I talk to him. I see my holidays where I'm like, why don't you play, X, Y, Z? He's like, I'm in my clan. And like, or in college, like I knew guys that would play on Xbox when Xbox 360 came out. We would all play FIFA religiously, like that, and they didn't care about anything else. They didn't care about any of the new games. That's what they played. And then when the new one came out, they'd buy it. And the new one would come out, they'd buy it again. Like,
I know dudes like that too, and I think people that are really hardcore gamers, like if you're someone watching GameScoop and really hyped for the order and whatever else, like maybe you look down your nose at people like that are just the Call of Duty bros every year, but they're usually like, at least in my experience, it's like people that don't have a tremendous amount of free time. They're kind of into video games, or they're really into video games when they're younger, and now they're a little bit older. Call of Duty is just their thing. Like that's just what they do.
Yeah, I think that's very common.
Yeah.
And I'd also encourage people, to Justin's point, like, these people are often, shit upon by a lot of hardcore gamers or whatever, and I'd encourage you to kind of look at it in a different way. They're essential to the health of this industry.
Seriously.
And, they buy hardware and they buy games.
Yeah, those are the people buying 7 million PS4s.
Yeah, those are the people buying Grand Theft Auto. Those are the people buying, these tens of millions of units of the Call of Duty franchise. They're essential. Cogs to the wheel, and allow the creation, at least typically, of maybe higher risk games. Without Call of Duty, there would have been no Singularity, because Activision wouldn't have had any money. It's the same thing with Skylanders. It allows them to take risks. Then now Activision's not prone to take many risks these days, but it spread it around a little bit for the success. For every massive game that is successful, we get an experiment that those finances allow for. So I look at it as a positive, personally. Plus, I like Call of Duty.
Yeah. I think that's all the scoops we have for you this week. Viewers and listeners, make sure you tune in for GameScoop 300 live next Friday, April 25th, 11 a.m. Pacific, here on IGN. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
My name is Damon. This is IGN Game Scoop, and we're out.